Today we will be helping a fellow Redditor in need. So correct Dakin2925 on Reddit says, need some help. Hello everyone, I need urgent help. I need to create the typographic alphabet I designed for my project assignment in P5, but unfortunately I don't have any coding experience, any coding knowledge at all. The alphabet consists of 5 different visual elements, so these, and what I have in mind is to transfer these 5 different shapes to P5 and create the letters there. At the end of the day, the letters I designed should appear on the screen when pressed according to their keyboard equivalents. I'm open to any help and thank you very much. Okay, so this is a pretty tricky assignment, to be honest, I think, especially for someone without coding experience. Reading the comments, they say normally coding wouldn't be required, but the instructor wanted them to do it in P5. It's a visual communications design degree or major, I guess. So, I mean, P5 is awesome for visual communication, and it's definitely worth learning. Somebody was saying like the teacher's a moron. I don't know if the teacher's a moron. I think they're probably a little overzealous maybe and expecting too much from their students possibly. But I think hopefully this Redditor has some experience with like the ideas of scaling and, you know, transforming things and rotating things and stuff like that, and like rotation points. So my initial advice was to crop each one and just use images, but I think that's not the point of the assignment. It is kind of crazy that not only do you have to design in P5, you also need to then make it, you know, input responsive so that you can actually type with it, and the letters should appear on the screen when pressed according to their keyboard equivalents. Oh, so I guess you don't need to build a full-blown, I was picturing like building an actual like Word type software where you can actually type out sentences. It sounds like this. The letters I designed should appear on the screen when pressed according to their keyboard equivalents. All right, so I'm going to help this person because I think they are screwed since they only have 2 days to do this and they have no coding experience. And P5 is, I mean, if you don't know P5, like it's easy to think like, oh, you could do it, but that's if you have experience with it. If you have no experience at all, like you're going to be probably super duper confused. So let's just start with the basics. Setup and draw. Setup is where you can like declare variables and things like that and like set stuff up basically. Setup runs once. At the beginning, when you press this button, when you hit press play, setup will run one time. Draw will run once every, just gonna make sure I'm recording. Yes. Draw is gonna run once every frame. So the default frame rate in p5js is 60 frames per second. So this will run, draw will run once every frame. Now your best friend is gonna be console.log. And here we can console log something. So I'm going to log the frame count. And then down here in the console, you'll see all the frames whizzing by. Console.log is your best friend because that helps you when you're confused and you don't know what's going on in the program. You'll be like, all right, wait, what is this? Console log it. And a lot of times it'll be like, not a number. And you'll be like, oh, well, there's your problem. Like something is going wrong. This variable that I thought was supposed to be keeping track of something is not a number, and then that's getting fed to some other function and breaking things. So console log is, that's like your debugging tool in p5js, the main one that you have. Let's look at this. So this runs once every frame. And we'll say 60 FPS is default. You could change it to like a slower frame rate here, but I'm just gonna leave it as the default. It always aims for 60. Okay. Cool. another really valuable debugging tool is just drawing like a circle at mouse X, mouse Y, and special variable types in P5 will be highlighted in pink in the online editor here. So you'll know if you start writing something, like if you wrote center, that is like a taken variable. So don't use that. And if it comes up dark blue, like bold blue, that is also something. So if you're like max as a variable, you wouldn't want to do that because you're replacing an existing built-in function in p5js that is the max function. It takes a maximum of 2 numbers, or an array, I think. Okay, so circle at mouse X, mouse Y, you can draw a circle at the position of your mouse. Now, let's look at some text. You can do text. I want to display mouse X, and then I'll do a comma, and then mouse Y. So I want that to be displayed at mouse X, mouse Y. So now, control / will comment this out. So code that looks like this is a comment that the program, when it runs, it just ignores this. So you can write notes to yourself in here. It's helpful for yourself and others who look at your code. Okay, so we can see that the X coordinates go this way, starting from 0 here, all the way to our width, which we specified as 400. And the Y coordinates go down. So the Y coordinates going down is the most tricky thing, because everybody who's taken high school math is used to the XY plane that looks like this, where X is to the right and Y is up. So it's just a little bit confusing, but as a visual communications major, maybe you have some experience with this. I think like Photoshop and other software probably works like this if you've ever gotten into the actual coordinates of Photoshop and stuff. All right, so for this assignment, it really seems like using pictures, hey, no bark. Using pictures would be kind of like, you're not really doing the design in P5. You'd only be doing this step. So it'd be very, very easy to just display a picture based on what key was pressed. So let's actually just start there, so that we have that functionality. So there's a way to do this where you say function Keypressed, and then you can get the key code. So let's just start by console logging the key code. So now I'm going to press keys, and the key code is displaying down here. Sorry, my dog is barking at something. Tucker, stop. No work. Get key pressed JavaScript. I'm just going to copy this and see if this works. Ooh, okay. So that's working. Instead of doing this alert, I'm going to just console log it. Console.log keynum. Hold up. Huh. Oh, string. Here's what we needed. String from car code keynum. I think I could just do this. And this will be key code. let's try to console log that. Console log that. Yay. Hello world. Okay, so that works. So now we have that functionality. I'm going to create a global variable up here. You can create it in your setup function. I'm just going to do it up here. I'm going to say let key char for character. I'll just write it out. Key character equal. Actually, we don't need to specify it. I'll specify it. I'll say it's D to start. And then down here, when it's pressed, I'm going to modify this global variable, key character, to just be whatever we just pressed. And then in here, I'm going to replace our text with key character. So now it's going to display the key character. And as I type it, it changes. Okay, so you could kind of be done here if you want. If you just wanted to crop all these, you could upload them as image files, A, B, C, D, E, F, G in here. Load all your images. You would do function preload, and then you'd say like A equals load image, and you would just load the image like A.png, B.png, C.png, etc., etc., etc. So you could do that. Be very tedious, and that would be basically all you'd have to do. Let's change this from mouse x mouse width to width divided by 2, height divided by 2. What's happening? All right, in the console it'll tell you errors, so something's going wrong here. Oh yeah, this is wrong. It's saying a.png doesn't exist because I didn't load it. So I'm just going to comment this out for now. And I don't want to go this route because, like I said, I think that's like not really the assignment. So now we can type though, and we could set the text size to be like 30 or something. And then you could do the text align and make it centered. I'm actually gonna bump this up to like way bigger. So this is the idea, I think. Eventually you want to be able to click through your alphabet and these different things are going to pop up. So now we have the part of doing the first part of this, which is actually designing the characters in p5js. And this, in my opinion, is going to be the like weirder part, the harder part, and incredibly tedious potentially. One of the nice things about p5js is using it for something that's like dynamic and procedural. So something like if you wanted, if you somehow like specified what the characteristics of the letter A are, and you said like, okay, the letter A has 3 points, or like this. This kind of looks like this, and then these lines are connected. So there's 5 points total, and then points 1, 2, 3 are connected, points 3, 4, 5 are connected, and these points are connected. And then you could have these middle points change, and like the size could be dynamic and you could change it. That's kind of like the beauty of using programming to do something like this, to have your design be dynamic or like responsive, or, you know, you could be able to like make changes to the design just by changing a variable or using sliders or something, rather than having to painstakingly go back in and change something in like Photoshop or Paint or Inkscape or whatever. So to just do this and replicate these exactly with like begin shape, end shape, and line in p5js, in my opinion, that's going to be very tedious, and I mean, it's definitely gonna be tedious. And then I don't even know, it's not how useful is that, you know? But I guess if that's the idea, we'll just talk about it real quick. So you're going to want to, there's a couple ways you could do this. You could write a function for every single case. So you could like function A, and then this function will draw a letter A. So yeah, you could do it. I like almost like don't recommend doing this just because of how like annoying it's going to be. But if the assignment is to like learn about the coordinate system and stuff and like how it all works, then that could be good, I guess. Here's what we're gonna do to cheat a little bit here. We're gonna do this, and it's actually just not cheating at all. But console log mouse X mouse Y, and I'm gonna console log mouse X mouse Y when the mouse is pressed. So the mouse pressed function, just like the key pressed function, this function runs each time a key is pressed, and the mouse pressed function runs each time the mouse is pressed. So if you press and hold it, this function will not continuously run. It'll only run on the frame which the mouse was clicked down for the first time. All right, so we're gonna do the console log of mouse X mouse Y when I press the mouse. And the reason we're gonna do that is because of this. Then we can draw the letter A, and I can be like, click. Here, I'm gonna just refresh this. So let's say we want the letter A. Go click, 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 click. And now we have the 4 points that define the letter A. So now we can do circle at 181, 199, comma 10. Copy that. And then there'll be 5 points. 186, 181, 198, 152, 214, 178, and then 220, 197. Okay, and then I'm gonna just call the function A right here. Okay, so now I'm going to comment out the text, and now we just have this A. So you can see how tedious this would have been if I didn't use this method of clicking and just did guess and check to find all these points, you know? Like this would have taken a really long time and been pretty annoying to have to fiddle around with this and like slightly adjust like, oh, 80, 181, 175, what's good, like, and moving it around like that. So this is going to be better. And then now we could do lines. So we could draw a line from, we know we want a line from the first point to the second point. And then we want a line from the second point to the third point. And then from the third point. So you can see already how tedious this is going to be if you're going to do this for every single letter in the alphabet. And I'm just doing something basic with just connecting lines and points. If you're going to be like drawing the shapes and everything and like positioning them just so relative to one another, that's going to be pretty darn tedious. And I don't know how valuable that is. But I mean, at least for a couple letters it'd be fine, but that's a lot of work. All right, so now we have this. And now this is what I was talking about where like it can be fun. Here, wait, one more line, the cross line. We'll do the line from the second point to the fourth point. Yeah. All right, now we can control the stroke weight. I'll make the stroke weight 3. Cute. Maybe I'll make it default is 1. I'll make the circles like that, and I'll just bump up the stroke weight. For the lines. And I didn't bump it up. There we go. 3. Cool. All right. So now you can see there's the letter A. And now what I was saying earlier, like the whole point of something like this is if you wanted to make it like, you know, kind of cool and dynamic or like animate it, like P5 is awesome for like what's called basically like procedural animation, like some sort of a, you know, getting some motion out of things. I'm going to say plus. Okay. And so, yeah, you'd have to copy this to the line as well. Some sort of a something like this. If you don't understand what I'm doing right now, that's okay, but this is just to demonstrate what I'm talking about. See, so here you could do something like this, and you could do this for every point, and then you get like a cool letter A that like moves around, you know, and that'd be kind of like interesting. You could like have this, you could have these be controlled by a slider or something on the side here, and then you could, you know, make your font interactive and like edit it on the fly. All right, so now you know how to draw lines, so that you could theoretically do this. And then the last thing is shape. So there's the letter A. And I don't really know how you would get around just, you know, writing the code for every single letter, because you could try to be super clever and like think of some way that you just tell it what letter to do and it like does it, but without, I don't know, I can't really think of one how you would do that. I mean, you could use like some sort of image recognition or something crazy, but that's like, I can't really think of how you do it. So I think you kind of just got to like do this. Let's look at your letter B. So you have this, this, this. So you know you have the line, and I'm realizing now these are all lowercase, aren't they? Pretty much. We have like a cool mix of, they look kind of like uppercase, lowercase. They are pretty cool. I like most of these. I like Z, I don't think I would recognize, and this, the I seems too tall for my taste relative to everything else. But it'd be cool to see them spelling out words. I was hoping there would be a way that you could just like feed images into something and it would generate a font for you, but I looked into it and it's a lot more detailed. You have to like do the actual vector graphics and stuff. All right, so finally, last thing I wanted to talk about is begin shape, end shape. So you could do this. And this is what you would need to do if you're gonna draw your little geometric shape here. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm just gonna real quick copy this and just cut this. All right, sure. Let's take forever to load. All right, I'm going to rename this b.png. And then back in here, we'll make this a thing again, and we'll say b equals load image b.png. And then here, I'm going to draw, I'm going to say image. I think it's image mode instead of a line. This is what someone on Reddit said, and they were like, which is pretty real advice. That's not a lot of time. There's a lot of fiddly crap to learn. Yeah, this would be the fiddly crap. Like, there's just, I think it's like any programming language has fiddly crap, but there's a lot of syntax that you'd have to learn. And if you don't know any coding, like, it's gonna be a pain. So hopefully this video is helping you. Boom. All right, so there's your B. I'm gonna do the same thing I did before. I'm just gonna click the points. There we go. And now that is our shape. So begin shape, end shape. You're gonna define each vertex. There's 5 vertices. So we could do this one. So 1. Wow, that's how that pasted that in there. I'm just gonna type it. 158. And then 261, 158, 263, 212, 250, 213, 169, 173. Sweet. So now B is a function, and instead of A, I'm going to call B. And we can see it drew a shape. What did I do wrong? Let's try this again. Hang on. All right. Click, 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 click. That's fine. Oh. There we go. I think I just, yeah. Boom, there we go. All right, so there's your shape. You'd want to probably clean this up a little bit. Pick one for this. These are the same. These are probably the same. I'll make that a 6. Nice. Okay. So there you go. And then you could use the properties of, so you could make this a function in itself. Instead of B, you could call this pent for pentagon. And then anytime you call pent, it's going to draw that shape, right? So you could do that, pent. You're going to want to, and then you could like mirror it, mirror it over this line. Rather than like redrawing this and figuring out these points, you would want to just move the shape around. And I'll quickly show you how to do that. So I'm gonna, if you Control Alt, you can select multiple at a time. I'm gonna say minus width divided by 2, and then minus height divided by 2. So now it's going to draw it up here, closer to the origin. Now that's better, because then if we want to draw pent at a certain spot, I can translate mouse X, mouse Y, and draw the pentagon. And now we can move this around kind of. And then you could even see how we could rotate it. Using frame count is a good way to like have a timer ticker. So you could rotate it around, or we could scale it to mirror it. You could scale it over the Y axis, and then you get this, right? So you can move all these around, and then you could use your pent function inside your B function. So you can write function B, and then you call pent. So yeah, I think you're by now this video, like, this has been 30 minutes. My God. So you get the idea. Like, this is definitely, it's either going to be a super tedious project if you know very little. If you just know like begin shape, end shape, and how to draw lines, it's going to be a very tedious project. There's still going to be like a lot of trial and error. And then at the end of the day, you're still going to have to encapsulate this functionality and then use like an if statement to control which function gets called. So you'll say like if, or yeah, there's kind of a lot to this. Like, you need to have an array. I'm sorry, this is going off the rails now, but you need like an array to hold. Well, hang on. How would you do it? So, because you're not just drawing key character, so you need to say like if key character equals, B or something, then you draw B. Or maybe you could say key character of it's definitely a tricky assignment. Hopefully this was helpful. I would say work on it yourself. My guess is they want you to like get familiar with the concepts of like reflection, rotation, translation, maybe, and maybe some of like the dynamic stuff that I was doing with the A. But just try your best, I guess, and good luck, and ask more questions on Reddit. Yeah, I would keep going with this, but I feel like it's beyond the point of being helpful at this point because it's getting too complicated. Maybe I could make a more concise version of this at some point, but there's a million resources for P5 out there. I'm going to stop rambling now. Hope it was helpful. Thanks.